Hello everyone, welcome back to Chef's Plant Kitchen. We are going to make some goodies today. Hope everybody had a great Mother's Day weekend. I just roasted some peppers here. Roasted some red bell peppers and some hot peppers. I parboiled some red lentil penne pasta and some chickpea rotini. I get this at Costco. It's made from chickpea flour, and the red lentil is made from red lentil flour. So we're going to get away from wheat these days and into the vegetable pastas and bean pastas. They're so much better, I think. So I was going to do three things today. We're going to, or at least two. I've got three things in mind actually, but my friends here asked me to make some kind of pasta because I've never done a pasta before. I'm not a pasta fan unless it's a plant pasta besides wheat, because wheat is so heavy. So I decided to go ahead and do the pasta. We're going to do roasted garden fresh asparagus. I got this week and boy, it looks delicious. So I was just going to rinse it, toss a little bit of olive oil, some salt and pepper, and I'm going to roast it in this roasting pan like I did the hot peppers and red bell peppers. And then I'm going to make a nutrient-rich base. You could use the nutrient-rich base that I taught you on episode 1 if you would like, but I'm out. I've used so much of it. So I'm going to make a fresh nutrient-rich base, and then I'm going to add mushrooms to that. Got some beautiful king oyster mushrooms, some rotinis, nice, huh? And I'm not sure what these are called. Boy, they're beautiful button mushrooms, aren't they? And so we're going to make some mushroom sauce with some cream. I'm going to add some plant milk to it and make it creamy, and we're going to pour that over the pasta. It'll be delicious, and it's going to be nutrient rich and it's low fat, if not zero fat. It's a little bit of olive oil in there, avocado oil in there. But for flavor, we need that nutrient-rich base. So we're going to start with that. We've got some celery, some carrots, and I've got some ginger and turmeric and onions and hot peppers. All those are going to go in. And I seem to have misplaced my celery, so I'm going to get some more. So I'm going to saute all that together and make our nutrient-rich base. I'm a little discombobulated today. Let's see. So here's our carrots. So if you already have the nutrient-rich base, you can just use, I'd say, a cup of nutrient-rich base to make this sauce. I'm going to make a batch right now, a real small one, by sauteing my carrots and celery and onion and garlic all together, and then I'm going to put it in the Vitamix and blend it up, and that'll be our base. We'll add some sauteed mushrooms to that, and then we're going to add some plant milk, reduce it down a little bit, season it up with some fresh herbs, and that will be good to go for our pasta. And then all I did was parboil the pasta al dente, really light. I don't want the pasta to be mushy, so if it says 10 minutes, I cook it 8. If it says 6 minutes, I cook it 4. And pull it off with room temperature water and then put it in the bowl. So, because it will continue to cook unless you really cool it down. And I sauteed some zucchini and squash they had real quick and threw that on, and then I've already pre-roasted the peppers. These are really simple to do though. You don't need me to tell you how to do them. All you're doing is taking the seeds out and tossing a little bit of avocado oil and some seasoned salt and pepper, and then putting them in some kind of open air dish if you have it. You can just put it on foil, but honestly, if you get something like this, it's a screen and keeps it up in the air, and it collects the oil, which is nice because we can reuse some of that and give it some flavor of that juice and oil. So I'm going to get the asparagus ready. I'm going to put it in there, We showed you how to do this last time. We're just going to break off the bottoms of the asparagus. That's where it's tender. I think all of this is tender actually. I think they already broke it off at the farm when they picked it, but just to make sure we don't get any tough ends, we're going to go ahead and break it off one more time. Since I have so much of it. If you were being really conservative, you could just go for it and eat that bottom part, even if it is tough. You could also use that in some soups. If you puree it in the Vitamix, it wouldn't really matter if it's tough, because once you parboil it and hit it in the Vitamix, you're just going to puree it. So there's that. I'm going to rinse the asparagus and toss it with a little bit of avocado oil and roast it for a minute. Got the broiler on already, ready to go. Let me get some turmeric, ginger, and celery inside this saute pan so that it can get going here. Also got that garlic. So you saw me throw that garlic in with cloves. I'm going to puree it in the machine, so I'm not real concerned about it. You could dice it up a little bit if you'd like. I'm also going to put 2 hot peppers, not enough to make the dish spicy, but enough to give it flavor-rich flavor to the sauce. I took out the seeds to the jalapeno. I left the seeds in the serrano. And that's just going to give us some flavor. There'll be maybe a little kick on the rear end. Won't be enough to really hurt people. Some of us are spicy eaters here. So we're going to watch what we do to that. All right, and then we're going to add some fresh turmeric, one of our key ingredients in almost all of my cooking. So after we get done with this pasta dish, which will be our dinner this evening, I'm going to do a dessert for you, which I have not done yet on the show. I'm going to do a superfood, nutrient-rich dessert that everyone in the family will love. So, here's our fresh turmeric. Oh, it smells amazing. And it doesn't matter what size you're mixing this up at. I like to get the turmeric and the ginger a little smaller so it mixes in really well. We're cooking it here. Now the ginger is important because you've got to cut that against the grain so you don't have large fibers, as we mentioned before on the show. Runs lengthwise. There's your ginger bridge. So the fibers run like bamboo lengthwise. You're going to cut it off, trim it, and then you're going to go bias cut across it and slice it really thin so that you don't have little hairs just like in celery. And then just cut through and chop it up. All right, so there's our turmeric and ginger. Let's mix this up a little bit. So there's our couple hot peppers, celery and onion. Celery and hot peppers and garlic. Onions right here. I'll put that in next. And all that is our nutrient-rich base that we made on our first episode. We keep it in bulk in the fridge. I'm completely out, so I want to make this sauce for you. So I had to whip up some quick nutrient-rich base to go in. Okay, there's an onion. Got the pan on high. And it's electric though. Has to be on high. Alright, we got that rolling. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil. And so asparagus, I'm going to get that going and just rinse it. I'm going to toss a little bit of, I'm going to lay this in there. And normally I toss it because I've got this spray bottle of avocado. I'm just going to spray it. And I'm going to hit it with a little salt and pepper. It's not important that you use a lot because we're going to have our nutrient base for flavor on this. I'm going to put this asparagus in the broiler. And that'll be the last thing that we broil up for this dish. Okay. Allow that to go in. That's been cooking today. I was cooking. Okay. So we got all that done. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this asparagus aside for now. And we'll get started on the pineapple. I have several pineapples, so maybe we'll even do more than one. And if we don't know how to cut a pineapple, it's really important. There's a couple different ways probably to actually do this, but old-fashioned chef's way is to go ahead and get a very sharp knife, really sharp knife. Because you're going against that core. You cut the bottom and the top of the pineapple off, making sure you get most of it off there. This one's a little... The thing with pineapples, you guys, is that they're picked very, very, very green. And they're shipped over here green, like bananas, and then they put them in gas chambers and gas them to get them ripe. Then actually that's just the green ripe. Then they take them to the store and put them out in the store to go from green ripe to riper. So I buy them weeks in advance. I put them out. I kind of try to keep an eye on them, and I just let them sit there and almost get rotten. Because you really want it really yellow and brown, or yellow, really golden yellow is ideal. But if it's picked really green, it's never going to turn yellow. It's only going to turn brown because they pick them too green. So it doesn't mean you can't buy them and eat them fresh. I bought these for $2.50 at Costco. So it's a great value. You can make a lot of dessert for $5. I'm going to add some hemp seeds and some fresh ginger, a bunch of little other ingredients that don't cost hardly anything. So literally our food cost on this massive amount of pineapple dish will be like $5 to $6 or something. So it's a great value for the family, and it doesn't take that long to cut a pineapple. Please don't buy them pre-cut. They've just lost all their nutrient counts when they put them in a container and they toss them in preservatives. So it is like a cactus, so you've got to kind of go a little bit deep. I suggest you put the largest, flattest side to the bottom, and then you take your sharp knife and go down and trim off. It's okay if you don't get all of the pieces. There's a little bit of the cactus still in there. We're going to go through and trim that up afterwards. So you want to get most of the cactus off of there. So you want to get, if you use a smaller chef's knife, you can literally kind of form with the crevice of the, and go in and out with the angles of the pineapple, so that you get most of the meat on the outside and don't cut too much of the meat off. And you just keep going around it like that. And so you're getting 90% of the outside skin and those pricklies off. All right. Get a little bit more down at the bottom, you can trim it like that. If you get some brown spots, you can just gouge them with the paring knife and cut them out like that. So then once you get where you've got just little tiny prickles up and down the spine of it, you can, at that point, these run at an angle. Got some hot peppers in here. All right, that's pretty much cooked al dente. We're going to leave it be. Shut it off. So as you can see, these go at an angle across like this. So then all you have to do is take the knife, and it's sometimes better to use a big knife at this time, and just go back and forth like that. And you can get 3 or 4 or 5 of these at a time without cutting too much of the fruit off. And if you leave a little bit of these, they're really not prickly anymore. You got most of the prickle out. So you can leave a few in. It's not going to hurt things. You're not going to bite into a thorn. It's really not like that once it gets close to the fruit. It's only prickly really on the outside to protect it from animals, predators. It's the reason that cactuses have that, or pineapples or any kind of plants. It's a protective mechanism. Tropics to protect it from the monkeys. Okay, so you get a big one, you can just scoop it out like that. Once you get all that trimmed up, then you're just going to go ahead and cut right next to the core all the way down and get a big slice off. You want to get close to the core, but you really don't want to cut the core off into the fruit either. And you do that 4 times, and you have nice big chunk pieces. This core is the sweetest part. What I like to do with these is I like to give them to a child to gnaw at, make a big mess, and eat. If you can, if their sage might be a little young, but if you tell the child they can eat around the core and they can eat most of it. They can eat all the outside. This is the sweetest part. I'm going to figure out someday how to make candy out of these things. Cut them real thin, and do some kind of like sweetener on the outside, and maybe dry it slightly, and then put them into a package, and then people can chew on it and spit out the pulp. I think it's just so sweet. There's got to be a candy of some sort. There's something that can be made from pineapple cores. So I'm going to cut this into pieces like this. So if you got kids at home, you hand it to them and you just tell them, hey, chew on it, gnaw on it, but don't eat the core. Don't chew it up. They can, it won't hurt them, but it's just a little tough, that's all. But super sweet. Best part of the pineapple, honestly. Okay, so we've got that done. Let's go ahead and put this in a nice glass bowl so everybody can see it. Now I'm just going to cut these up into chunks. Big chunks, little chunks is your choice. Depends on who you're feeding. I like mine in big chunks, but if you've got older or younger folks, maybe little chunks is the way to go. So, there's one of our pineapples. We're going to cut another one. I'm going to make a lot of this. But first, before we do that, let's finish with our nutrient-rich base here. So, I've got these vegetables: fresh turmeric, ginger, garlic, onions, carrots, and celery. It's mirepoix, add fresh ginger and turmeric. That is my nutrient-rich base. Now, what we usually do is add a bunch of vegetable stock to this. We don't really need to do that. We can add a little bit to give it some saltness. But the thing is that it's got so much flavor now. Doesn't really need it. But we'll add a tablespoon or so just to give it some salty content. I use this better than bouillon, as I mentioned on my episode, and a chef's knife to get it out. All right. So, there's our better than bouillon. Just a little bit to give it some salt content. And now I'm going to put it into the Vitamix. And then we're going to puree that with just a little bit of water. Just to the top of the vegetables, or actually right below the vegetable top. So we get a nice thick puree. And I was thinking about this. I have my assistant here. Add a little bit of water. And there's our nutrient-rich base, as we made on our very first episode, but I went into a lot more detail on that first episode, obviously. But I didn't have any in stock, so I had to make a little bit more because we're going to make a sauce. Now we're going to do a little bit of noise here. Okay, so this doesn't look so good, but it's super delicious and it's super nutrient rich because you've got that fresh turmeric, fresh garlic, fresh ginger all in there and cooked al dente, nice and light. So it's really super rich in nutrients and flavor, concentrated. Looks like baby food, which I think gave us the idea. Asia says that we should make baby food because baby food is just pureed vegetables or fruit or meat. You can make that nutrient rich, which seems like what we should be feeding our babies. So we could add nutrient rich base, or we could just add a little bit of fresh turmeric and ginger to the pureed vegetables or fruit, or or vegetable, to make it nutrient rich. So we'll have to do that on our. Maybe we'll make a little bit with this today, but baby food is so easy, everyone should be making it. There's no reason we should be buying baby food. Okay, so we've got our nutrient-rich base ready to go. I'm going to show you how to make a sauce. I'm going to use that same pan everything's been cooked in. Lots of flavor there. And I'm going to add some mushrooms to it. We're going to saute the mushrooms. We're going to add the nutrient base to it. We're going to add a little bit of plant milk, reduce it down a little bit, and that's going to be our sauce. Meanwhile, how are our asparagus doing in here? We're doing fresh roasted asparagus. Look at those. Fresh from the farm. I think we should have tossed this one more time, but it looks really good. Look at that roasted asparagus. Okay, so there's our asparagus. Look at that. Oh yeah. Now what that needs is the sauce. I'm going to cut up some of the, put some over there. I'm going to cut up some of the bell pep, roasted peppers on there too. And okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of mushroom sauce for the top of that. Get that hot. Get that pan hot. And we've got lots of fun mushrooms over here. I do have some regular mushrooms that need to be used also. So we'll throw some of those in there. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. Mushrooms are carcinogen. But when you cook them just a little bit, the carcinogen burns off. So they're safe to eat as much as you want. Very nutrient rich, full of potassium, really good for you. But I recommend that you cook all your mushrooms at least a little bit to cook off the carcinogens. I can't see anything over here, can you anymore? Okay, so we've got a little bit of oil warmed up in the pan now. Seasoned pan, I might add. We're going to go ahead and chop up some mushrooms. We're going to do a medley. We've got 4 different types of mushrooms going on in here. From our classic white mushroom. Now, we don't need to put any garlic or onion or any of those seasonings in the pan when we're cooking our mushrooms because we've got our nutrient-rich base. That's going to give it all the flavor it needs. So we just need a little bit of avocado oil in there in order to love these king oyster mushrooms. Look at how beautiful they are. Just quartered them, did a nice slice. There's no gills, which is kind of why I'm not a big portobello fan. I do use them, but man, I usually peel all those gills off of there. I'm not a gill mushroom guy. And then we got some Malachi mushrooms and some of these strange mushrooms. I don't even know what these are called. Aren't they beautiful though? So many beautiful exotic mushrooms. We need Kevin over here, our mushroom man, to tell us all about mushrooms. So we'll invite Kevin as a guest chef. Maybe next week or the week after. I've talked to him. He's almost finished with his thesis, and we'll have him talk all about mushrooms. That's a great idea, isn't it? Kevin's my friend from the Whole Foods store, and he knows everything about mushrooms. He's the mushroom man. Okay, so a little more avocado oil in there. And then look at these. These smell amazing. They smell very medicinal. You know, they found out these mushrooms, lion's mane, and all these different mushrooms that are available now, they help activate the neurons in the brain. So they're very, very healthy. They're finding out to do all kinds of medicinal things to your body and brain. So, all about mushrooms. Culinary, medicinal, psychedelic. So many good mushrooms out there. All right, let's see. I'm going to clear the center of the pan. I'm going to add a little bit more avocado on the spot there, and then I'm going to put all the rest of the mushrooms in there. So that they all get cooked evenly. Okay. Now back to our pineapple. I've got one more to cut here. I'm going to take these cores. Yeah, I'll set them over here. Do that. I bet you Shades could chew on one of those. Just tell him not to eat the whole thing. So what I'm going to do to these pineapples, you can do to anything. I'm just going with what I know is good with pineapple is coconut, right? Pina colada, we know that's a proven thing. So I'm going to put a little bit of powdered or shredded coconut in here. And then I'm going to put hemp seed for nutrients and crunch. But before I do that, we're going to toss this pineapple in lime juice. Doesn't matter, lemon or lime juice, doesn't matter which one you use. But I use a lot of limes. I'm also going to grate a little bit of fresh ginger, and I'm going to grate a little bit of lime zest in there, both of which nutrient rich, and it will make this pineapple bang. Then we're going to toss a little bit of sweetener. I use honey, but you can use some monk fruit or a little bit of agave syrup. I mean, I'm trying to stay away from cane sugars, you guys, because sugar's in everything. So if you can avoid it when you're cooking at home, you're benefiting your family from the sugar addiction and the diabetes problem that we have today. So we want to try to cut back on artificial sweeteners, but I'm going to add a little bit. The pineapple's sweet, true, but in order to get it all just kind of sticking together, I'm going to add a little bit of honey and a little bit of monk fruit or something to get it rolling with the citric acids of the lime. So as you can see, I'm just cutting a little bit of the leftover pine. Should say pine. Whatever you call these things sticking out, cacti, kind of prickly things of the pineapple. Sage has got one of those. Sage is our 19-month-old friend here that's dining with us today, and he just liking that pineapple core. I never throw them away. Before I throw them away, I eat them myself. I just gnaw on them. And of course, people trying to reach me. So, let's not forget about our mushrooms going off over here. Hello, Sage. Sage is answering the phone.
That's his first time saying hello.
That's your first time to say hello? Hey, we got a new first word out of Sage. It was hello, but it was the pineapple that inspired him. He really wants to say pineapple. And then we're going to shoot got. Oh, that's the best part. Do not pitch it. We're going to make candy out of this someday. We must figure out how to do that. Right? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So I don't know if we dry it slightly and then toss it in with the coconut, a little bit of monk fruit or something, and then put it in a package and sell pineapple cores. Charge top dollar for them.
Give him a shot because he's
Charge top dollars for those pineapple cores that people throw away.
He already got
It's
halfway
so
through
good.
this one.
Now you have 2 pineapple cores, Sage. Yes. Where's that plate at? And then we'll take the rest of this pineapple and we're going to cut it up. Try not to throw away any plants. If there's an edible part of the plant, you should be figuring out how to use it. Utilize it somehow. You know, I don't take the tips off of strawberries. I eat them. They're very nutrient rich. There's nothing wrong with that. Both my children eat the entire strawberry. You don't sit there and pick away at the green part and not eat it. They eat both. Eat it all. Whole strawberry. Okay, so there's our mushrooms. They're nice and al dente there. They smell amazing. And that is going to be the base for a sauce. Now, you could chop these up really small if you want your sauce to be really fine, or you could put it in the Vitamix machine and puree it. I'm going to make a thick mushroom sauce. We're going to add the nutrient-rich base and plant milk to that. And we're going to have a nice sauce for our pasta. If you choose to add some cheese after that, you could. I would recommend like a Pecorino Reggiano or some kind of hard-aged cheese if you were going to add something, but you could probably add absolutely anything to it. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to add some of the nutrient-rich base. And then we're going to add some plant milk. So plant milks, there's lots of options out there. Lots of options. But for cooking, I really like to use this Ripple, which is split pea milk. It's really high in omega-3s and protein. And it cooks really well. You can heat this stuff up. It's like cream. I also like to cook with this flax milk because it doesn't break for some reason. Flax milk has a high fat content like hemp milk does. So hemp milk's really good to cook with too. The tougher ones to cook with is oat milk. It doesn't really have much fat to it at all, so it doesn't really bond very well. You can make great smoothies. Coconut milk's a good one also. I do have some coconut milk behind the counter there. We could add if we wanted. problem with coconut milk is that it tastes like coconuts. So if you've got someone that's not big on coconuts, or you don't want to alter the flavor of the dish toward coconut, you want it to be neutral, like we want this to taste like the nutrient-rich base of turmeric and ginger and the mushrooms, ideally. So I'm going to stick with these two milks. You could add coconut, but you're going to get a little sweet kind of coconutty flavor out of any coconut base. So, as you can see, there's our rich sauce. It's got a little green tinge to it. There's nothing wrong with that. Green is good. It comes from plants. Green. But it's more brown than that. And Sage says it looks dope. Let's try it. Yeah, because I did not add a lot of that better than bouillon. It might need some salt. Needs a little bit of salt, but not much. So you could add a little bit more of the better than bouillon if you wanted. It has nice flavor. I just added a little bit of salt for convenience. Now, the only thing I would like to keep this up with is some fresh herbs. It's not necessary, it tastes delicious. I'm gonna let the ladies try it right now. But I have a lot of fresh herbs out in my herb garden. What type of herbs should we use? Thyme, rosemary, sage, basil.
Rosemary. Sage with mushrooms.
True, sage with mushrooms. I think some rosemary would be nice. Would you go pick it for me? A little bit of each. You pick it, just pick some herbs. We'll throw them in there. I'm also going to add a little bit of this horseradish root. This isn't necessary. I just like to make it a little bit zippier than it is. It only has those 2 hot peppers in there. I can find my. So I don't know why, but I'm really big into horseradish root. And you only have to grate a little bit, and no one knows what it is in there. You just know it's got some additional spice and flavor. And you don't even have to tell them it's horseradish. People think they don't like it, but they actually do. It's just they've had it out of a jar. Things out of a jar are not the same as things fresh. I can prove that over and over and over. Okay.
How much do you want?
Oh, just a little bit each. I don't care. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, doesn't want to get in front of the camera. She's not dressed at the moment.
Oh, please. I am.
That's why I was distracted. You guys kept seeing me look over there. You know what I'm looking at. All right. Oh, these smell amazing. So we've got some rosemary, some thyme, sage. Got it all minced up. We're gonna throw it in there, make it really herby. Wow. And we're gonna add a little bit more milk, make it a little bit more creamy. Turn it on low. And we've got our sauce almost ready. Now back to the pineapple. You ready? So we need coconut over there. I'm gonna need some hemp seeds. They're on the second shelf there. That monk fruit right behind it in the red bag. The next shelf down is the monk fruit and the hemp seeds. You can add anything to this, but the reason the hemp seed is not for flavor. The hemp seeds don't have much flavor, but you should be putting them in almost everything. You know, you can add them to everything, but they just give you so much nutrients. So if you add chia seeds to this, after a while they're going to turn thick and dense. Now, what I would recommend that you add chia seeds to is the sauce, because it would make the sauce very thick and rich. If you add it to the pineapple and it sits overnight, it's going to turn like chia pudding around it, and it'll have like a almost like slight slimy texture. So you have to prepare for that. So I'm not going to add chia seeds to it. Dave was asking about it. You could, if you add chia seeds now, they're going to be crunchy as you eat them. And then after they sit, they break open. The moisture breaks them open, and they turn like a small gelatin. That's why chia seed is an excellent substitute for eggs. If you're going to add eggs to something and you want it to expand, like a souffle, you can make a vegan, type of souffle of plants by using chia seeds. Monk fruit is a low glycemic sugar, so I like using it. You can get this at the health food store. You don't need much. It's very sweet. So we added the monk fruit. I'm also going to add a little bit of honey to this to give it some more moisture. And then also to give it more moisture, we're going to add fresh lime and some lime zest. So you roll your lime to break up the membrane so that it squeezes the juice out a little bit easier. I'm just not on my game today. Let's see. I woke up a little bit foggy today. I'm not sure why. Yesterday was a long Mother's Day. We were around taking care of moms. All right, so there's some lime. We're going to put a little bit of lime zest. This is really easy, y'all. So if you don't have these kind of tools, you have to get it. It's very inexpensive. They last forever. This is a high tech metal zester, which you get 2 or 3 of them at a time when you buy them. They're different grade sizes. But a must-have in your kitchen, just like the Vitamix. Look at that grade of that. And we're going to grate some fresh ginger. Oh, chef guys go crazy with the fresh ginger. But the fresh ginger is going to just set this off. All right. So I have 4 different types of coconut over there. I have a powdered coconut in that it's bundled up. You want to show it to them. I have a thin grated coconut. I have a thick grated coconut. And I have coconut cream. So coconut's really, fresh coconut and grated coconut like this without all the sugar, it's really healthy for you. So I like the coconut powder or really fine grated coconut flakes for something like this. And then I buy a thick, this is called coconut chips. You get these from Trader Joe's. These are nice for other things. You could do it for this too. If you wanted big chunks of coconut, I'm trying to kind of coat the pineapple with all the superfoods. So after I put the lime and the lime zest and the ginger, fresh grated ginger in there, you toss it really good to get the juices flowing. We'll do a drizzle of honey too. Michigan honey, which will help to make it sticky. So that'll help everything to bond to the pineapple. So I did put some hemp seeds in, but now is a good time to dump them in. And then our powdered coconut or shredded coconut, both, I'll put that in there. It is very ripe sweet pineapple, so we really didn't need to add much sweetener. Just add the honey and the monk fruit just to kind of like get things rolling and make it more of a dessert type of thing and make everything stick and bond to it. So the superfoods are the grated ginger, the hemp seeds, and the coconut are your superfoods. And then you're adding it to the nutrient-rich fresh pineapple, which remember I bought at Costco for $2.50. I think they're $2.99 now. It went up 50 cents. So let's say they're a $2.99 pineapple. We added all these ingredients. We've got a $7 bowl of really healthy, nutrient-rich dessert right here for the entire family. Huge bowl. You put it in the kids' lunches to go the next day. I made this for Ed and Gary about a month ago, and they just went ape. They're like, what did you do to that pineapple? I said, I got a chef's special blend of superfoods. All right. So, then we got our sauce ready to go, pretty much. Now, I'm going to try it one more time to see if it maybe needs a little more salt. But